does that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Hi there, YouTube. We're back again for another Thoughts from the Corner. I'm here with my good friend Lucy.
Hey.
And we are going to be talking about this game right here, Chronicles War for Indagar from Happy Gorilla Games Studio. This is for 1 to 4 players. It's going to take you about 120 minutes to play, and it's for ages, I don't know, I'm going to guess like 14 plus.
Yeah, probably 12 and up.
And as always in this segment, we have just gotten off this. We just freshly played it. Full disclaimer, we did not finish this game, and you will quickly find out why in this video. But in this game, this is a 4X game. We're going to set up the tiles, and you're going to have your own little starting base, and then you're going to, I'm not even going to show them because it won't show up that well, then you're going to have a whole bunch of mystery tiles out there. And you're exploring, and there's different ores, and there's gold, and there's mud, and there's all sorts of bad stuff. But what's really interesting, and we'll talk more about it, is there's also monsters roaming around the board. And everybody has their own monster, and they go around and they attack each other, and they all have their own scripts, as they call it, when they attack different things. They have different objectives, and they can all win the game as well. There's a tech tree on this where you're going to have your own unique board, an asymmetrical faction with asymmetrical different character minis, and the minis look pretty stinking nice. They look
nice.
Me and Jimmy like that. Wait, we'll get into it. This is just the synopsis. Lucy's got a list. There's a whole tech tree where you're going to be upgrading not only your characters, but also, man, the more I talk about it, the more I'm so disappointed. You're going to be upgrading your characters who are going to be up here, which if the game is popular, I'm assuming there's going to be more. Wait, be patient. There's also a whole bunch of stuff down here where you're going to be able to upgrade, what would you call this? Your philosophy on fighting, I guess.
It's because like each deck, like each character is like sort of like organized to go for like a different route. Like for example, the faction I went to was a balance. It did good on attacking, but there's also some like area control management where you get benefits and like resource management where you use that to pay for abilities and such. But like for Forrest, he played like a complete warmonger group. Like literally, he had like his component. He didn't have components to build stuff because they just gave him the necessary amount for certain mystery tiles. Yes,
there's a crucial aspect of this game where you're going to be building outposts, which you can use as defense, but they also will be getting things out of the ground and giving you resources. And I feel like we've talked enough about the generalities of the game. If you want to know more, you can watch a different video. Don't read the rules, though. Don't do it.
We're going to talk about the rules.
So, would you like to start, Lucy, on our thoughts about this?
It was like a huge wall barrier. Because, like, the first thing, I think the similar issues that we had when we first played that Batman game.
Oh, God. Don't bring that up. I've tried to forget that. If you've not seen my review for Batman Gotham Chronicles, you can relive my pain. Our pain. You went through it, too.
It was an adventure. It's like, I want to learn about this game. Like, it's interesting. It has, like, area control. Not only are you, like, you're always going to be, in theory, busy because not only are you going to be doing stuff on your turn, you're also going to be controlling a monster that has its own things to do.
Not controlling, but you're going to be...
You're going to be acting out its AI.
Acting it out, yes, which is cool, though.
Yeah. But the issue is just getting that initial setup. That was our thing.
Let's start there. Before we get into the rules, yes, just setting up this game is
a bit of a slog.
Yes, it is, because the tiles are not marked as well as they could be, and some of them look very similar from front to back.
For example, grasslands in the back of the actual tile.
And I've thought about doing these videos, which is just where the video is. It just shows you how to set up the game. Not how to play the game, but to set up the game, so that per way the person who's reading the rules can focus on reading the rules and not focus on setting up the game while you set up the game. And this is a prime example of why that could be necessary, because we literally just hit a log jam where I'd read the rules once in advance, about 15 out of the 20 pages. So I thought we were going to be prepared for it, but it was like, oh no, we have to set up the game now, which means I can't read any further because
I was helping set it up, and like I have to go back and forth. And the issue is that especially with the first page itself, where it shows you this stuff, it doesn't tell you. It tells you how many tiles you should have. It tells you have 74 tiles, but it doesn't tell you what those tiles are. And when the beginning of the setup is telling you to get specific tiles, it's like, okay. And then, like, we have to go back and forth because, like, the actual tiles where it says specific tiles is in page 11, which is 11 down.
We knew page 11 by heart.
We did.
You should not have to go to page 11 to set up a game in any situation ever. That just should not happen. I can't see one conceivable reason why you would ever possibly have to go to page 11 to set up a game. Period. Set up.
It should be like on the front page and the component. It was.
Or just I wouldn't care if it was just a printed off piece of paper that was just like, here's the setup.
Yes, like if there's like a separate page where it's like, okay, like I can just do my little setup over here while first like relays the rules, and like I'll probably ask for references, but like I'll keep an ear out.
And that's how games are. I mean, this is not new. This is not a new concept here. Okay, so the setup was rough. It was very rough. It took us way longer than it needed to. So now we're past the setup. Continue on, Lucy.
And then after that, it was just, the player aid.
Oh, God. Here we go. So
the issue with, like, I love the boards themselves, like, the components are really good. And the boards...
Oh, that player aid. We're talking about this player aid first.
I'm going to do both of them.
Okay, both at the same time. Because they both have issues.
Yes. So we have a nice, lovely player board. And
it tells you your faction.
It tells you your faction. Your faction name, your faction abilities, and it has 3 spots for your commanders. It's also a little confusing because like my faction came with 4 people.
I think that was a bonus Kickstarter thing, and I think that was a good thing. I think you actually got to pick 3 out of the 4, and I think what they wanted to do in the future is that you get to pick your own specific characters and kind of cater your strategy around the overall strategy.
I wish it wasn't just one faction though, because that made it really confusing.
And it was, but it's still nice that it's there. I think, and I want to start off that we're going to say a lot of negative here. But I think we both can absolutely agree. There is so much cool stuff. There's so much potential.
I wanted to like this game because after we were getting... The issue was like we quit because like it was just a slog just getting through the setup.
No. Everything was rules. A slog. Don't sugarcoat it. Yeah. I wish I could have timed how long we had a rule booklet in one of our 3 hands. I think it probably was, and I'm not joking, we played for about 3 hours. I'm going to guess... Yeah. 70% of the time, from the beginning to the end, someone had a rule booklet in their hand, and we only played through half the game before we were just like, no.
And literally, because I started it's like an hour is only what I recorded, and that was like when we in the beginning.
It was an hour and 30 minutes. It was more. Yes.
That I recorded, and it was just God.
But so we agree, and I think everybody agreed.
The issue is just like the player aid does not provide you any useful information. That's number one.
Well, this one I actually think is pretty well done. It just should have had more.
It could have had more. This one, the actual player aid card,
is the big culprit.
I literally wrote terms on it. Yeah. You can bash.
Why did you need to do that? Isn't it double-sided, Lucy?
It's double-sided with the same exact things.
Why would you do that?
And there are no.
Why?
And for asymmetrical like factions, you either like should have their specific goal points and or power-ups on either on the board or have a specialized rule sheet.
Well, here's the thing.
Neither
in the rule booklet, and there's quite a few of there's a couple of these. In the rule booklet, it says that your player reference card is the specific color of your faction, which would imply that yes, on the back you could have exclusive stuff to your faction on the back.
It wasn't in our box at least.
Well, I assume it's not any of the boxes. One thing I do want to mention before I forget, is that I don't know if this is indicative of all the copies. So I don't want to hammer it too hard on the components, but this is how I got it, and I think it's probably who they went through, which was Gameland, which I've never heard of in my life, which is not good because I'm fairly well versed in a lot of the different manufacturers. Well, I mean in the behind the scenes, the manufacturing. I manufactured a game. I went into the factory and made it myself.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, component-wise, that was a component issue, along with one of the miniatures already breaking off from the
both of mine for my faction.
2 of the miniatures.
2. Let me go.
But they're cool-looking minis. Yeah. Oh my
please.
Gosh.
I need to.
Do I need to timestamp? This is the one that's not quite broken.
This is the one
you can poke your horses back in.
It's on by one leg.
And then this is the one right here, if you could see it, which is completely broken.
Can you see it? Can you see it not there?
And this was straight out of the box, too. But the problem with this one is, and I don't know why, because, yeah, this one has 4 holes to hold in 4 legs. They decided on this one, bold strategy cotton, to put 2 holes to hold in 4 legs. So you gotta kind of play it like this.
It doesn't help that I just got into minis, so I'm like, that's now a particular thing with me. Just if you're gonna have minis in the game, and like this is one of the few games that like actually justifies its minis though.
Yes.
Like we played like a lot of games. Like what was that one villain game where it had useless minis?
Oh,
But it was pretty-
the mass market one, the Target one, the really good one with the Disney villains.
No. Disney no. The one where like Adam had the vampire and
I don't know. There's a lot of games.
there's a lot of games.
But these miniatures actually do look like the character cards, and they make it much easier to figure out exactly where your
like
characters
when you
are.
activated and who you activated.
I agree with that completely. But we can talk about components. Let's go back to this player reference card.
Player reference. It doesn't do anything that I. There's so much wasted space.
I
Like
can't see that again.
there's so much wasted space. Like this alone is for first, and not even like it doesn't even tell you what actions you can do on your turn. It just tells you just the basics. Like like I can even read the back of it because it's the same thing on the back.
Now, this is also one of the things that someone's going to fix on Board Game Geek, which is nice.
I shouldn't have to go.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's not in defense, but I'm just saying if you somehow have came across this game, or if you really, really want to play this game, I think it's a good game once you get past just the layers and layers of just not.
Because like the gameplay is not. If we're going to slam anything in this, we're going to slam a lot of it. But it is just the initial setup.
It's not the gameplay.
It's not the gameplay. The gameplay itself is nice. Like fighting is quick. You roll a dice. Whoever gets the higher number gets it. Just certain things when it comes to abilities, like if you want a question or a reference, like it's going to be nearly like impossible.
Oh god, the rules. Yeah, the rules. It's just nothing's organized.
There's nothing's organized well, and there is no index. Like this needs an index.
Hey, this would be. Oh, I think there actually is a table of contents, which is nice. There's a lot of terms that are bolded. We had a discussion that when you have a lot of bolded words in a game, they should invent some sort of maybe like a glossary of all these terms, and you put them together so then you could go see quickly what this means or what that means. Which I gotta get on that. Let me get it, coach.
Mm-hmm.
God, there's so many things in this rulebook that should be other places, but they're not. There's like 3 that just pop into my head. So there's these really cool monsters that can pop up randomly, and they're powerful, and they stomp stuff. But you have to know their health, you have to know their attack value, you have to know their defense value, you have to know all these values. But they didn't put it on the tile, which means you have to go to the rule booklet and say, okay, I'll go to the rule booklet, All right, so here's the rule booklet about the tiles. I'm not seeing it. Oh, okay. Maybe it's on the next one. It's probably in the monster section, so we'll go to the monster section. Okay, so here's where we start talking about monsters. But those are the 4 main monsters. We're actually looking for just... Okay, these are the 3 spawn monsters that can spawn. Okay, so what are their stats? So let's see. So this is where they list off all the different stuff on the monsters right here. But then there's one super useful information about... Oh, there's another...
And it's like you could have put them on the tiles themselves on the monsters... Or just like even like on like have like a side reference again. Like we could. There's so many. Like, it's double-sided. Like you can put we're missing a lot of information. Like there's like there's a term glossary, but it only covers 3 terms.
Three terms, and they're very obvious terms for the most part.
But a term we kept asking about was like because all our characters have like special rules. Like for example, there was fortify. What was it called? Fortify. You're burn and pillage.
Yeah.
And there was a charge, and it's like, where are those? I want to have references to those, and then I have to travel through the rule book because they're not on your sheet, they're not in your character, and they're not in the terms.
And here's another thing that I want to know, and I understand
so they're buried in the rules.
If this were a cost thing, where it's like we crammed as much as we could into this rule book that we've had, because you see that sometimes. You see a rule booklet that's filled to the brim, but it doesn't have enough. This is not the case. Okay, this is all unused real estate that you could easily would have made this game better, drastically better. If this
and the issue is just like it's not even space. It's an issue. It's organization.
Yeah.
I shouldn't look for what we call for setup. I shouldn't have to go to page straight 11 to realize what specific tiles I need to set up.
I should not have to stop reading the rule booklet for 20 minutes while we set up. That should never be a thing.
I should not look at my player reference guide and be like, I want to write stuff down on it.
Are we just going back and forth here?
A little bit.
I should not have a problem reading your cursive.
No, I don't have
this
cursive.
Is a cursive.
It's chicken scratch. You don't. It's a horrible habit I have.
All right.
Bold text. Yep. Glossary needs to be expanded on and made upon.
We still had no
abilities versus attacking, because you had that issue with yours. It's like
abilities versus but those are all minor issues. Those are things that like happen in even good games.
But it compounded.
It did. It absolutely did.
It's like it's a minor issue in other games, but when it becomes once is an issue, twice is a concern, 3 is a problem.
We're way past 3. We were way past 3.
Like this like even though it's a new game, just got on off of Kickstarter, like this needs reprint.
I will put it like this.
There's empty space, like you can even have like character specific things on our.
Yeah, like right down here. I mean, I know you want to put the artwork.
Like it's beautiful artwork, but like the stockpile, I'll never use the stockpile.
This is useful information. We talked about maybe just putting something here that you use at the beginning of the game with the tiles instead of. I know this is a score and turn track. I've played a game before. It's not like just somebody's wandering in a 2-hour 4X game. It's like, what's this thing with these numbers on it? I'm so confused. It feels. And I said this to Jimmy, and I said it to you, and I absolutely 100%, I would be willing to guarantee this right now. This game was not blind playtested. And blind playtesting, if you don't know, is when you are designing a game, and you give your game, and you give the rules, and you hand it over to people, and then you either record it, or you sit back and you shut your mouth, and you just watch and you learn from all the mistakes that people are making while they're playing your game, and then you make sure that you fix those mistakes because most of them are simple as you put them. Organization, glossary, better use of your space in the cards.
We didn't know what tokens
were. We didn't know what tokens were at the end of the game. We were literally, I was like, what, is this token from the last game? And Jimmy's like, yeah, I think so. We made a joke about it because we were already moving on to the next game. It was like, what's that token do? I was like, I'm not going back to the rule booklet again after we're done with the game. What do you think about the artwork, though?
I mean, I like the art. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't think it's... You know, I do like the player boards. I do think the player boards look really stinking good.
It didn't need to be this big, though, to be honest. Like, honestly, like, you don't need this... Like, I mostly need, like, a commander space. But even, like, this is just wasted space, because, like, I'm just going to put them to the side anyways.
See, and I disagree with that. I felt like... I really did like the... I like this player board a lot.
I feel like you could cut it in half. I feel like you can just take this spot, put it here... Cut out the chaff.
Well, here's the thing. We're complaining about how they're not utilizing their space enough, and you want to take some of their space away.
What? Because they're not using it well.
I feel I would disagree on this board. I feel like this board could have been better, but it was very well done. But we've hammered a lot on this game, so let's focus some more
about the gameplay.
Yeah, because there's some really cool aspects.
Because it's a tiling, it's a tile game, and you're just laying down tiles.
There's cool tiles that do neat things, and the monsters are really neat, and they attack each other.
Can win, and
they can win. Yes.
And like and that adds a collaborative point. It's just like, oh geez, like I don't want Forrest to like. I want to attack Forrest like right now because he's vulnerable, but I'm like, oh, that monster in the middle is 1 point away from winning. I have to huck it over there.
And all the monsters play differently well. Like, one was just straight, I'm going to the well, which that's another thing. The well didn't really come up, but I think that's because the monsters in. And then one was going all the way across the board.
The timing of... because...
And that was really cool. And the tech tree and the upgrades, and they put a lot of thought into it, because when you unlock the special ability, it's not just like, cool, I've got this new special ability. It's like, oh, I've got this new special ability, but I also can either make it cheaper, or I can make it more powerful, or, oh, here's who's going to be my commander, because they all have their own unique special abilities and their own unique commander special abilities, and then they also are going to be better at attacking or better at defense. There was a lot of really cool aspects put into this game, and
it really needed another. Like, that's...
It needed a lot. It needed a lot more.
Because I'm just jumping into it, and, like, I see that people, like, did demos, and, like, the Kickstarter was super successful. And... But...
Oh, that's coming. That backlash is coming. Oh, we're gonna get in this video. That's my favorite part, when I post bad reviews about new games from Kickstarters that people are super excited about, because they get super mad. They're like, what the fuck? Stupid, you're playing it right.
Because, like, and I'm like, well, I just want to... I look through the rule book, and it's just so disorganized.
Oh,
like, at least I feel vindicated, because I did look on Board Game Geek, like, right after, and I'm like, okay, we're not the only one who had problems with the rule book.
And there's a couple things in this rule booklet, too, that are just like, direct contradictions, like, minor things, where it's like, oh, you didn't go back through the rule booklet and fix that. And yeah, even on the player reference card, this is a big one. There's already an errata out on this, and there's, oh my god! They didn't tell you to put your gold thing out there. There is an errata, so if you're planning on playing this game, you need to get on the errata, because there's two things that are very important. First, you start with a gold mine, which is going to generate 2 gold every turn, which could be big, even though honestly we weren't using resources.
I mean, I had to because like my points were dependent on like because everything costs resources. Like whether you're building like outposts gets you the points to win.
I couldn't build outposts.
You couldn't
yeah, that's a
build
fair
them, so
point.
you
That was
never
the
knew
asymmetrical nature of why we wanted to like this game.
Yeah, because there's a lot because like it clearly like it's came from someone who had passion for it.
Yeah,
and like it had a vision. Like the game again, like the gameplay wise, like I would be okay with it if I just didn't have to stop every 5 minutes to look at the rule book because there was a term, like for example, you'll hear juicy target.
What's a juicy target?
It's like, okay, gotta dig through, because it's not in the terms, because that would be really cool, because because like, I understand, like, for certain things, like, you don't need reference to, but if you're using a term that is not completely obvious, then you need to have reference for it. If you're using a term that is just for this game, like, for example...
I'll give you a perfect example. I will help you out there. There was only 3 terms in the glossary. One of them was reroll all. My wife's right here. Hey, dear, you've never played this game before in your life. You didn't watch us play this game. Do you have any idea what reroll all might mean?
Yeah, you're gonna reroll all the dice.
Okay. Do you know what a juicy target is?
No.
Exactly! We know what reroll all means. Why would you put it in the glossary? God. But the other one was... So you start off with a gold mine, but you
You're
also...
reading my cards.
Well, no, but this was huge. It says game turn end and game turn start, and it should say game round start. And the difference between a turn and a round is a big
difference.
deal and a big difference. And that's laziness. I can't say anything. That's laziness. You did not go through. You did not cross your T's. You did not dot your I's. That I actually said the phrase right for once. You can't let that happen. That's just proofreading. That is literally just proofreading your files before you send them out.
I know it gets exhausted and like it's a whole like you're tired and everything, but
you got one shot.
You have one shot to release your game because like this is going to be my first impression of this game. Like that's
our video is going to be a lot of people's first impression of the game, and I would be willing to guarantee you that there are going to be some people who watch this video and they don't even open their game, which sucks. And I hate doing that.
Because there's something underneath. Because, like, I've played games that, like, I clearly can tell, like, they don't have, like, a vision. Like, what was that? Like, the filibuster one.
And... you were the only one that was that down on filibuster. You can watch our thoughts from a corner on that one.
It was... And, like, but this one, like, the gameplay-wise, like, if they were using terms, like, if you're not going to bother putting the terms in a glossary, don't use the terms. Just say, like, what juicy target is, which is just, like, a target. Just say, like, they'll choose a person who has less defense than their attack.
So
don't make up turns that you're not going to have easy access to.
I think she's dead. Let me see. I think she's dead. I think we covered all these. I see awkward.
What did I write down?
Did you write down on your text card?
Yeah.
But in the end, can you recommend this, Lucy? Why are you even thinking about it? Why are you even thinking about it? No. I don't ever want to play this.
And there's a game in here. I just wish I knew how to play it. It's just...
I would love to play this game with the designer and with people who know how to play it. It's one of those games.
That is the only...
And there's a lot of games that I say that about because they're very difficult to teach or there's a lot going on. This game, it's just out of pure frustration. Component-wise, we're not good enough. The use of space was not good enough. The rules was not good enough. Just...
and even like the worst part is like because like you even mentioned it like you would want to play this game with like someone experienced with that, and that put me way back to like one of my favorite games, which is like Betrayal at House on the Hill. The rule book reads like that, but unlike Betrayal at the House on the Hill, you cannot know gameplay or whatever because like Betrayal at House on the Hill, that's a game where you're going to get the rules wrong. You just are guaranteed. But you know what? You can ignore them and you can play okay. This one is not a game where you can ignore the rules. You cannot skip over.
Yeah.
You have to go back to references. And that's the biggest difference. That's what makes it heartbreaking when it's like the rule book doesn't work.
And yeah, and I want to add on to that because the actual system itself is really simple. You move and you do an action. And there's only 3 actions in the whole game. And they even make it so it's all
on the player aid.
Yeah, but how do you do that? There's only 3 actions you can take and you don't put them on there. Come on, man. But oh fudge, I forgot what I was gonna say. It's all
I ruined it by mentioning Like, you'll know.
You mentioned something that was completely right. Another point, like you have 3 actions in the game, they should probably be on the reference card, which is not even a small one. It's a terrible.
It's double-sided. They took the effort. They didn't even take the effort to like have one side and have the other side blink.
Great box insert though.
I mean,
good.
I mean,
it's a very good, very good box insert.
Miniatures fit.
So in the end,
Yeah.
War for Indagar. This is a game that if it had, I think, 3 more months and 1 more person, it could have been.
And even somebody who was not part of the project to edit this. That's the main thing.
Oh, absolutely. Hire somebody out. Even, yeah.
And
Because
new eyes.
Because there's so many cool ideas, and I would I would love to see expansions for this if it was a good game. Like, I would love to see different factions and different characters and different tiles and different monsters, and all of this is set up. Everything was set up on this nice tee. They had so many cool ideas, and they just swung the bat and hit somebody in the face with it.
Mm-hmm.
War for Indagar from Happy Gorilla Game Studio. Unfortunately, absolutely not one I think either of us can recommend.
No.
There you go. If you're enjoying what we're doing, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below. If you want to support the channel, click on, consider supporting the Patreon down below, or click on that little Amazon Associates link down below. Buy anything on Amazon, throw us a couple pennies my way. And in the comments below, let me know. And there's one more thing I want to mention.
Oh.
If anybody's still here. And I was going to mention it during the video and I actually forgot about it. We don't typically quit games.
No.
I think we have done it 3 times this year.
This would be the 3rd one, and even this year, probably near end of last year. But only 2 other games I can think of from the same publisher.
Call them out. Kamigami Battle. And
Kamigami Battle, and it was Love Battle High School. I love Tanto Kiri, though. But yeah.
But let me know in the comments below, what was the last game